Hello and welcome to You're Wrong About Musicals. I'm Esme,
And I'm Nell.
and today we are going to be talking about Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dream Coat. What a fuck-ass
What a
title.
show.
I was like, I'm saying it once. It's like with Great Comet, where I was like, I'm saying it long once,
Yeah.
and then we're not saying it long again.
We're just gonna keep calling it Joseph
Yeah.
from now on.
Yeah, honestly, but often
It's
I'd
you
have...
know in an essay where you like shorten something and you gotta
Yes,
say it once and then put it in brackets.
that's us with
That's something we're
this.
doing that right now.
Yeah, but we've got a monstrous list of news to get through.
So much has happened since we finished recording. And like half of it happened last week before the episode came out. And now
Yes.
more stuff is happening and it's oh my God.
It's so much because like, should we just do the first one and then I'll explain?
You wouldn't
So,
believe it. Second time it's
second
happened.
time this has happened. So Something Rotten announced a concert and literally a week before, and like no issues. Would have been perfect. Absolutely fucking
It's just because,
perfect.
like, the end of the episode, we're like, where do we think something else is going to go from here? And I was like, I don't think it's ever going to come to the UK.
Yeah, I
You
said
know, I would love it to. I
I
just
think
don't think it will.
I was like, I think it could do a concert maybe.
And then, like, a week later, they were like, yeah, we actually are.
And then when I got around to promote, like posting about it on Instagram, people were like, wow, what good timing. No.
People,
People.
someone
So
in general, someone specifically.
it's public on the Instagram, so but yeah.
This next one is crazy. I wrote this down like the day it was happening. And now
Yeah.
it's like old news. It's
Old
boring.
news.
We've moved on.
But it is kind of funny to me. I think okay, so basically Roger Bart,
From Back
he
to the Future.
from Back to the Future. Um he searched his own name on Twitter and got annoyed at people who said he didn't deserve his Tony nomination.
Yeah, it was just someone tweeted out like, no offense, but how the fuck did Robert Bart
Get a
get
Tony
a Tony
nomination.
nom? Which, like, yes, is rude.
But
Like,
it's
let's
so
get that out of the
tame.
way. It is rude,
Yeah.
but it's like the tamest thing they could say.
Also,
And
they
I
weren't
think if
saying
you
Roger
know
Bart
you're in a
was
show
yeah.
that's gonna go up for Tonys,
Yeah.
that is trying to get Tony noms, people are gonna say that about you could be in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
You could be the original Broadway cast of Hamilton. And someone would say, no offense, but how the fuck did Lin-Manuel Miranda get a nomination?
Yeah. For
I was like,
acting.
because it's Lin-Manuel Miranda in Hamilton.
Yeah. Also, like, that couldn't have been like Roger Bart is shit. It could also be like this is one of the most stacked seasons of recent times, and the guy from Back to the Future, which got no other barely any other nominations, somehow got in.
Yeah,
Like there are
I think as well, we were very clear every time we talked about it before the nominations were announced.
mm,
Um, Always going to be upset this year.
yes.
So many people were going to get snubbed.
Yes.
And there were going to be people who, like, this is their dream lineup. Like, this is like everyone I wanted to
Yeah,
got
yeah,
a
yeah,
nomination.
yeah.
Everyone I didn't want to didn't.
Yeah.
Perfect. And there are people who are like, actually, complete opposite for me. Everyone I hated got a nomination.
I don't know. I think also I just keep thinking about it because we run our mouths.
Yeah. And it has come back to bite us.
It has come back to bite us, but every like when that has happened, it's been a positive kind of thing. It wasn't like that's mean. Stop.
It wasn't a cease and
It
desist.
wasn't a cease and desist.
But
No,
I
no,
think it's
no.
like
Overall, it was.
you know how people are always like, oh, art is so subjective, it's all just
Yeah,
up to your opinion. That's just musical theatre.
yeah.
And you see it all the time now,
And
especially now, but
we're
throughout
all
history.
we're all really opinionated
Like you can't do a review of a show
and not someone
and
find
have
issue
it
with it.
not be opinionated.
Yes.
And it's like it's always gonna offend someone. I can say I loved the Phantom of the Opera on the West End, and so I'll be like,
Yeah.
you are a fucking idiot.
It
It's
was the
not
best
good.
thing
And
I've ever seen.
I think basically the point of this being like proper drama rather than just someone gets annoyed that someone's mean about him is the searching of his because this person put out the tweet, didn't tag him, didn't do
No,
anything,
no.
just said his name.
Yeah,
And then he like quote retweeted it
yeah.
and was like, this is the rudest thing I've ever heard.
Also, if that's the rudest thing you've ever heard about yourself, and
Grow up.
you're like a really public, if you're like a public figure, like Trisha Paytas made a video attacking you, like Sorry, I just
So I do this
realized.
one.
Yeah, I realized what our next point was. I've been a bit offline this week, and this one you kind of have to be. We literally spent like half an hour trying to piece together what was going on.
Yeah. So I was trying to update this as it happened. Unfortunately, I have everyone blocked. So this was kind of tough. I think mentioned it last week, saying there is going to be a mincemeat cast change.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it is very unclear who is leaving and who is staying. And
And when?
most of all, when is this happening?
I hate to say this every week, but mincemeat is weirdly produced.
Problem
Yeah.
with this cast change specifically is because it's an indie company,
Mm-hmm.
you're under like the really useful
Mm-hmm.
group.
Yeah.
If you're having a cast change, it is so easy because already they have all of the like links they need to
Yeah.
get the news out there. They have a whole team of people working for them to be like, hey, make an infographic about who's leaving, who's staying,
Mm.
all that. I think just because it's like their first West End musical, it's their first cast change
Yeah.
ever throughout like most of development, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it's been the same cast.
Yeah. Or at least the first public cast change.
Yeah. I think that they have enough contacts to call up what's on stage and say here's the dates, or at least put it out on your Insta or
Yeah, it like there's parts of it that I do feel like should have been done better, but I'm not
yeah.
gonna be like worst cast change announcement ever.
There's been worse. I mean, we lived through the Sophia and Caruso leaving.
Yeah. What we do know, four people are joining the cast.
Yes.
It is unclear how many are leaving
Yeah.
because I don't think it's a five-person cast, at least principal cast. I don't
Mm.
think four of them are gonna leave.
Yeah.
You have to assume most, at least, of the like understudies and standbys
Mm.
will stay.
Or the other thing is that they could be moving up into being
Yeah,
an overstudy.
yeah. But basically, they announced that there would be they did like a little infographic of like a top secret document that you find,
Yeah.
and it had H, M, C, and D, like
Yeah.
the letters,
Yeah.
which is, I think, Hester, Montague, Chumley, and Bevan. We
Yeah.
know for a fact Chloe Hart has been
Mm.
announced to be playing. I've written it down as Bevan plus, just Bevan and all the other characters that the role of
Bevan
Bevan
et
comes with.
al.
Yeah, Bevan et al. Emily Barber is going to be Ewan Montague plus. George Jennings is joining the cast.
Yeah.
He did not have a role. I looked again, his like announcement said something about a range of roles or like a plethora of roles.
Yeah, that's
Kind of
very
to be
much
expected in this show though, which makes me think
yeah.
Hester, because Jack Malone was saying that he has the most roles.
Interesting, yeah.
And then John T. Peach was also cast with
Yeah.
no like listed role. There was a lot of drama around this.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, because it was done with one announcement a day over
Yes.
4 days.
And it
With
like went into the weekend, which is also
yeah,
atypical.
and it was a
Bank
bank holiday
holiday.
weekend, which is
Yeah.
weird to
I
do.
was thinking like Monday there was no news for the West End, and I was like, that's weird for a Monday. And then I was like, oh no, it's bank holiday.
That's so strange.
So
Um,
strange. I kept forgetting it was a bank holiday on Monday.
it's like when there's no news from Broadway for a bit, and you're like, something's going on over there.
And then it's like
There's a holiday.
it's some made up holiday like Labor Day.
It's President's Day. What the hell is that?
Mincemeat being
The
weird. Fork found a
other
job.
thing people were okay, this was where we really struggled a bit. There
Yes,
have
this
been
was
like
when we were like
three cast
this is
announcements.
when we were like trolling through Twitter. If anyone
There's
has the
also
right
Spring Bank
links,
Holiday on the 27th of May for reference.
yes. If anyone has the right links or would like to tell us what's going on, we're all ears.
Like three cast announcements happened over the past week.
Mm.
This cast change for Mincemeat,
Yes.
the cast for Helen at Soho, which we'll
But
get to, and the cast for Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain, like a big regional theatre up in like Leicester, I
Yeah,
believe.
not the Curb, somewhere
No,
else.
no, 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 no. It's like somewhere up, either the
Yeah.
Midlands or the
But
North.
basically, all three of these cast announcements have been criticised. The
Mm.
Heathers for the same thing the cast is always criticised for. There is
Totally.
only ever one principal person of colour, which is Heather
Heather
Duke,
Duke.
and maybe one in the ensemble. This is where we were trying to place it. There's been a kind of bigger discussion around like plus size bodies,
Yeah.
at least that we've seen this time. I think it might be about like Martha. Like, why is it that Martha is the only character who can ever be fat in
And
Heathers?
then they often cast someone else who is plus size or fat, whatever word they want to use to describe themselves, in the ensemble just to understudy Martha.
Which feels a bit weird. But then we were also discussing it might be about mincemeat.
Yeah,
Um,
because the dates don't exactly line up to be about Heathers, although this person,
but then it's like
Mickey
well-known theatre
Joe,
reviewers, yeah,
Mickey Joe
who
could have known what the Heathers cast
yeah,
what the Heathers cast was before.
with
So,
basically the idea being that specifically Bevan's role
mm,
seems to be reserved. It feels weird saying because obviously, like, I don't know if the actors themselves want to. It's not a bad thing,
no, it's not a
obviously,
bad
but
thing. It's just how
if they don't want to, because it could very well be they don't consider themselves to be plus size, they don't think of
no,
themselves like
yeah,
that, or they
yeah, yeah.
don't want to,
Or they don't like that
you know,
term,
like,
or
yeah, like for me, I'm not skinny, but I
yeah.
wouldn't ever want to like put myself in for Martha because I
No,
think that is, or like Tracy Turnblad because
I
I think
think
that is
there
a
is a
specific role.
yeah. I think there is a world where someone could cast me as it, but I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah. Well, oh, who's the bitch from Fame?
Oh, Mabel. Oh God,
Mabel.
don't.
Yeah. But yeah, stuff like that. I think it's a weird when you're casting based on body types, it is weird. But there was that the other thing with mincemeat, which also links to both of the other casts, specifically Singing in the Rain, all white.
Yeah, except from like a
Like
couple of exceptions.
obviously Heather's like two non-white
To
people.
yeah, and they're both playing the same role a lot of the time.
Mincemeat, I don't know. I haven't like done a deep dive and like figured out, oh, they're just white presenting or
Yeah.
anything. But at first glance, it looks like everyone in the replacement cast isn't the right word, but
Mm.
I in the cast change, in the new
Yeah.
cast,
Yeah.
seems to be white.
Yes.
I don't know, it just feels weird. Like it's 2024. Grow
Yes.
up.
Also, I saw someone say like it's so like theatre is so diverse now. First off, that is like unequivocally that is like statistically not true. There is
Yeah.
a very interesting report that they do over in America every year talking about visibility of people on stage, and it is very well laid out. As someone who has to read a lot of research, it's very well done. It's just statistically not true. That's my
I don't know, I think
principle for the
like
day.
I'm not gonna sit here and like be like, guys, we should cast more non-white people in theatre. Like
Yeah,
obviously, you know?
yeah,
It's just really disappointing, especially in shows like Heathers and like Mincemeat, which are really
yeah.
loved by younger audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, it's really like Singing in the Rain is like, yeah, sure, it's gonna be all like 50 plus in that theatre.
Yeah,
Which it still sucks and it's still a bad thing. But if you're
yeah,
specifically performing shows that you know
yeah.
inspire, I guess is the best word, younger generations,
Yeah, if you're doing like a baby's first musical away from their parents kind of show, like
yeah, you should at least try to get some more
yeah,
diversity.
if we want to make theatre a more diverse place, then that starts by putting more diverse bodies on the stage to almost make
Yeah.
people feel welcome in the space.
I think as well with both the messages of Mincemeat and
Yes.
Heathers,
Yes.
it's weird that they're struggling with it.
Yes.
Like it seems like it should always almost be like second nature to just be like, yeah, we need to cast diverse people in this role.
Yeah, and
And
especially
if you
since
want to call it like affirmative action or whatever, like go
go
ahead.
ahead, man. But I'm
Fucking
sure they're
sure. But
I'm sure they're
it's
incredibly
not like
talented.
it's not like only white people auditioned for this show.
No, because I know, and also Mincemeat had
No
the
way
open
in
call.
hell.
Mincemeat had the open
Yeah.
call.
And there's definitely something to be said about is it still just because of privilege of who can afford to live or travel into London every day?
Yes, I mean this is such a
Like it's obviously not a one-dimensional conversation.
yeah. There's so many
We're
nuances.
presenting one side of it. It's a lot more nuanced. And I'm not saying like they didn't any show didn't try at all.
No, because we weren't in those rooms, but I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to something a little bit
Something happier.
less nuanced. Titanic is coming to
I
London.
am so excited
Um,
for this.
they haven't said where it's going.
Honestly, where would it go?
That's what I was
Drury
thinking.
Lane.
That's what's replacing Frozen.
It's still open. Titanic in Drury Lane would be crazy, and we need to go to Titanic anyways. But
Yeah, we're gonna go
in
to
Drury
Titanic
Lane,
always. But I think because I don't think Babies is running scheduled to run too long. I think it could do Other Palace.
I think it'd be fun in the other parts too.
The Other Palace, I feel like it needs to go. It does need to go somewhere
Yeah.
small.
The Babies cast was also announced today. I don't have it in front of me. I could check, but
Yeah,
sorry.
no, I saw that. There's
We'll
so
do it
much
properly next week. I'll do it properly. But it's been announced. Melanie LaBarry.
Okay, can I also share my other
If there's
Hadestown news?
Oh, okay.
I'm seeing Hadestown next week, guys.
I couldn't go. I have 12,000 words to write in 2 weeks, and I've done 0.
It's the day after my exams are in. I'm going to see Hadestown.
Well, I'm going to Thorpe Park, so
I'm taking my friend who I fear I've overhyped it to.
it's very hard to overhype Hadestown.
I'm worried, man.
It's such a good show,
But
man.
here's the
It's
thing,
so good.
it is such a good show, but I'm worried me going around saying for months, not even months, 2 months, it's the greatest show of all time. That's just racist.
It's true.
But it is true. And I've also not told her like anything about like even like flowers or if it's true or how they do the
Oh
turn.
my God, flowers.
So like she's gonna get to experience like all of like I've not even told her about like how when Orpheus walks to hell, the set drops out. Like I've really kept her in the dark.
I've gotta go see it again.
I've kept her in the dark, apart from it's the greatest show of all time.
Melanie LaBarry.
You've got
If there's anything I can do for you to just confirm or deny if there is actually a UK Hadestown recording, let me know. Because once again, you have teased that there is one, and then a day later been like, haha, just kidding, guys. I don't know anything. Or do I?
Do I?
Do you?
Please, our Spotify raps are predicated on this.
Dude, I had to block a certain someone and it ruined my experience because I couldn't listen to half the songs.
You didn't realize it? And you're like, yeah, well, like certain, like some songs are just gone, and I was like,
they're just gone. And it's because I blocked someone.
What did you do the other day? Number 4. That was the second worst thing to happen to me all week.
It's been rough.
It's been a really rough week, and that did not help.
But here's the thing, I just need to know if there is one. Even if you're like, yeah, we're gonna release it in like 10 months, fine. I just need to know that there is one.
I'm gonna be so real. Like I'd love for there to be one, but I don't think there is.
Please.
I'm keeping there's like it's like another thing on here where I'm like I can't go about my day thinking about it because I just can't live in a world where I think that might happen and it doesn't.
Quick politics interjection here. It's important that I think all of our viewers hear this.
Yes.
UK politics.
Okay, so even our like international people who, whenever we talk about the UK, I'm like, we're not doing it justice, making it seem like a real country, because we're not. Anyway, continue.
It is like not real. The MPs, the members of parliament, can do this thing called a vote of no confidence in the prime minister, the PM.
We've done one like once before with Boris. Twice we did it with Boris.
Twice with Boris. It didn't work once. And then it did. We did it with Theresa May.
Yeah.
We've done it a ton. It's a pretty common thing to do.
Yeah.
I think we did it with Liz Truss, but I don't remember.
Liz was so quick.
The problem is, right now, especially after the local elections,
yes,
all the Conservative MPs know that the second there is a general election, they are out of a job.
Yes.
So even though they don't like Rishi Sunak or they think they should get rid of Rishi Sunak, because objectively we should.
Yes.
Do a vote of no confidence right now as Tory MPs.
Yeah.
They will be out of a job. So what they're doing is they're defecting to Labour to become Labour MPs.
Yeah.
And then voting for a vote of no confidence so that they still have a job because they can say, I actually support the Labour Party now. And it's also just a thing about just showing your support, because if you step down completely, it's a different message to this party is so bad that I would rather go to the enemy than continue to work with Rishi Sunak.
Yeah.
It's very weird. There's a lot going on. Tell you my other two politics bits.
Look up this guy named Count Binface.
Great guy. The other 2 bits of politics news I have. Boris Johnson got turned away from the polling station because he didn't have photo ID.
Photo ID, yeah.
He's the one that introduced we needed photo ID
apparently,
to vote.
Like the UK was overrun with voter fraud.
Yeah.
We aren't, but sure.
As we all know was very true.
Yes. The photo of him leaving that polling station, greatest photo ever. I want to get it framed.
With his dog.
Yes, poor dog.
The other thing I have, can you scroll down quickly? Oh yeah, Sadiq
Sadiq
Khan
Khan,
got re-elected.
Long live London Star.
Londonistan.
Londonistan. If you don't know,
Stupidest joke.
the
Love it.
right-wing talking point has been that under Sadiq Khan's London, it's become Pakistan, which just isn't true. And
There's
also,
too many damn immigrants.
yes, that's been the
Grow up.
right-wing talking point. Also, London was literally built on immigrants. Anyway, not going to get into it.
Anyways,
long live.
that's my politics bit done.
Yeah. Anyway, Gatsby corner. Someone almost got. This isn't funny. This isn't funny. But the irony of this is truly amazing. Someone almost got hit by a Tesla next to the Great Gatsby opening night. So I think what it was saying was, so you know how they had them drive down in that fuck ass old car?
Yeah.
They wouldn't have been able to do that if this person had been injured by the Tesla being someone hitting them with the Tesla. I think I saw a tweet where
Well, so
someone
basically, it was saying they were posing for pictures on the red carpet,
yeah.
and then a few meters away from that, nothing to do with the Great Gatsby show,
No.
a Tesla just hit a pedestrian.
Yeah. Oh,
And
the
he was
irony.
fine. Like,
He was absolutely fine.
nothing bad happened.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious.
The Gatsby discourse is roaring on, and all I'm gonna say is, yeah, the show that ran a very good social media campaign is going to get a lot of fan voted award nominations.
Yeah.
Limpika to close, first post Tony nominations casualty. I'm sad Limpika is closing.
Yeah.
Patty
It's one of the ones that I
also
really
went.
didn't think was going to be the one to close.
Really?
I thought there would be other ones.
I thought, yeah, I'm gonna be so real. I thought we would be on our like second or third closing of the season already.
Yeah.
Of like the spring shows, sorry. I mean say some of the shows were already closed, but yeah, it's sad. Anyway, Your Lie in April to play the West End.
Yeah.
It's going to the Harold Pinter Theatre, I believe, for a limited run. Little Shop have announced their latest casting. It is
Yeah.
Andrew Barth Feldman and Sarah Hyland.
Which is a great cast.
It's a inspired casting choice.
It was so funny because they posted the like silhouettes.
Yeah, as they did.
And it was just really obvious who it was.
I love the fact that the silhouettes come out and then like 2 minutes later everyone's like, oh, I know exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Oliver Tomset will make his Broadway debut reprising the role of Shakespeare in Anne Juliet.
I think apparently he's very good.
I
don't care for Anne Juliet, so I can't comment on this.
I think I saw him in the role. I don't remember anything about that show. Yeah. Gutenberg cast recording is out. I have given it a bit of a listen. So many illiterate jokes. Why wasn't Leah Michelle in the building? Like
I have not listened to it yet.
Every single moment there were. Dylan Mulvaney is doing a musical at the Fringe, Edinburgh Fringe.
I think it'll be really cool. I'm just not willing to go to the Fringe because it is so expensive and so tiring.
And also, Edinburgh's kind of really far away.
Yeah.
But I would assume that the Fringe is like an out-of-town tryout almost.
Yeah.
I
mean, nowadays it kind of feels like it never is anymore. I think technically it's meant to be.
Yeah, I think like this production, like whatever she's working on, will make its way to London. The Public are doing a play called Gats, which is a 6.5-hour play about the Great Gatsby.
It's great.
Like, sure, fine, fuck it, 3 Gatsby productions.
We needed one more.
Yeah, we were saying we needed one more the other week, and now the Public listened, and they're doing a 6.5-hour Gatsby. Okay, now this one's big.
Oh my god, for us specifically.
Hot off the presses.
Not when you're listening to this.
Not when you're listening to this, but for us, yes. Finally, this was the one where I was like, I can't walk around my daily life thinking that it's when it's going to come out because it might never. My suffering has come to an end. The Bonnie and Clyde filming is being released.
You have to pay for it, which doesn't really shock me.
Nope.
It sucks.
It's
I'm very excited.
I'm really excited. And another thing I've noticed is because I'm so used to Bonnie and Clyde now just being a West End show,
Yeah,
so that like American theatre outlets are making a massive deal out of this, and I'm like looking at the website and I'm like, why is like why is like everything initially in dollars? Like, why is this happening? Bonnie and Clyde's a West End show, and I'm like, oh no, this is like primarily intended for a West End for a Broadway audience.
yeah.
Because not a Broadway audience, an American audience more specifically, because Bonnie and Clyde doesn't really exist there. I do also find the fact that they're having a whole premiere in New York City for it hilarious.
It's because Jeremy can't leave
Jeremy
Gatsby.
can't leave Gatsby. So they're having to fly like Frances Bailey McCann and Natalie McQueen. They're having to fly everyone out because Jeremy can't leave Gatsby. It's deeply hilarious. Also, you know that giveaway I was telling you about? Yeah, you can only enter if you live in the if you live in the continental United States.
Jesus Christ.
So that was when I was like, that was the moment where I was like, oh, this is made for an American audience. Yeah, not a British one. Next up, we have My Son's a Queer, but What Can You Do is going on a UK tour.
Exciting.
Happy for Rob Midge after the disappointment of it being postponed on Broadway. Leah Michelle was pregnant at the Met Gala.
Not much more to say on that
Yep.
one.
Her look
She's
was
just pregnant and at the Met Gala.
her look was decent, and the Vulture headline was hilarious.
Yeah,
Occasional public nuisance, Leah Michelle is at the Met Gala.
it was great.
Jonathan Groff was also at the Met Gala because Leah Michelle was somewhere. Schmigadoon is becoming a stage musical, which is very fun.
Very exciting. I think I probably should double check this before I say it, but I cannot be bothered to.
So,
I think it's basically taking what was going to be the next season, which, as they said when it was cancelled, was already written,
yeah.
and turning it into a stage musical.
Mm.
It might also just be a kind of overview of
Yeah,
like what
yeah,
they
yeah.
plan to do over the course of the series, which is basically each season was a different
Parody.
decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're hoping for season 3 because it's the mega musicals.
Yeah, I am hoping for season 3.
I am as well.
I
I
want
want
them to
nothing.
drop a shit chandelier.
I want them to take the ever loving piss out of Les Mis
Yeah,
and the Sondheims.
yeah.
God, I'd love that. Anyway, I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen with Schmigadoon because it's like obviously with it being cancelled was not the last we'd seen of it. We'd see of it.
It was a very beloved show.
Yeah, I don't have Apple TV, so I've not watched it.
I'd watched a bit of it.
Yeah.
And it is really good. It's literally just because I have no attention span. That's why I didn't watch all of it.
New cabaret casting.
It's
Lisa Williams, someone from Heartstopper. The people on Heartstopper are really getting into the theatre.
I mean, it's fun,
No,
but
no, like I'm enjoying it. It's just I don't think I've seen a cast go into the theatre this much.
yeah,
That wasn't like the Glee cast.
yeah. It doesn't seem like a very like it's not the show I would have thought was a like
Yeah,
theatre
they're
fast
all going
track.
to take up musical theatre in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to some more kind of political news. Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Rufus Wainwright
I
played
saw this. It's
the
crazy.
failure of opening night. I think it was basically like since Brexit, we're more closed off as a nation.
Rufus Wainwright has defended his musical opening night, which was forced to close early after mixed reviews, saying West End audiences lack curiosity after Brexit, and the British press had turned on the project because it was too European.
Sorry. I don't think it was. I think it was just kind of bad.
Some audience members reportedly walked out during the performance or left during the interval. The musical included a scene where Smith staggers out into the streets of the West End while being filmed and projected back onto the stage. Wainwright said the experimental elements of the show were too much for conservative audiences, and seeing Smith, who was a mainstream star, in something more avant-garde was an anathema to certain critics and audience members. I do feel that since Brexit, this is a quote, I do feel that since Brexit, England has entered into a darker corridor where it is a little more narrow in its outlook. And the vitriol because we put English Rose Sheridan Smith through this ordeal of European theatre felt a bit suspect to me, he told The Guardian. I was a little surprised by that.
I think you just wrote a bad musical.
Although Wainwright admits the show wasn't perfect by any means and that there were mistakes on many fronts, he believes the negative reaction to the show was partly because Britain has become more insular since the 2016 Brexit referendum. Then another quote, there's a lack of imagination and curiosity about change, he said. All of the reviews from Europe were incredible for this piece. The staging and the rhythm is more European. I don't think it was perfect, and that I don't deserve criticism. The thing of shutting it down if it's not exactly what you want is not really the theatrical lane I want to live in.
The idea of like, I don't know how I feel about this because sometimes experimental theatre that doesn't really work on Broadway specifically can work really well here.
My problem with him saying all of that
Yeah.
is he's saying it after the Jamie Lloyd Sunset Suite.
Yes.
Like, just this article specifically noted that they have a scene very similar to what happens and what is widely praised in Jamie Lloyd's Sunset Boulevard, which is an actor going out onto a street and being filmed and projected back into the theatre.
Yes.
And we can talk about all of that for hours. But to say that this production wouldn't have failed
Yeah.
in Europe or anywhere else, and it's only because of British audiences, when British audiences loved Sunset Boulevard so much that it swept the Olivier's, it's like swept, like everyone
like
loved it.
the last month of its run, because we seriously looked at getting tickets. Tickets were like £300.
I'm not saying he's completely wrong. There is definitely something to be said of, in general, I do find that nowadays, and I think we're also part of the problem in this, a lot of people do tend to be drawn to traditional theatre in particular. And I don't know if I would say that's because of Brexit. That might be a bit of a leap. And I guess you can also argue that's part of Sunset Boulevard is a traditional musical. They've just reimagined it.
In text, if the cameras weren't there, I think opening night would be quite like a traditional musical though. From what
Yeah, I mean it's based off a film.
Yeah.
Like a 70s film, I want to say.
Yeah.
Like I think definitely the argument he's making of that British audiences are too closed off and too narrow-minded about what they like definitely is kind of true.
Yeah.
Like I don't have any doubt about that. It's like the thing when people say, oh, that fucking tweet that was like British people just see theatre as like the fun thing, whereas Americans care about it. Like I still think that quote is stupid, and I don't think it's entirely true, but I do get where they're coming from with it.
Yeah.
But to blame Brexit is just crazy.
Brexit.
So I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah.
I get a bad mark on my essay, and I'm just like, this country has become so narrow-minded since Brexit.
The reason why my week's been so shit is because of Brexit.
Exactly.
Speaking about Jamie Lloyd, actually, Tom Holland might be performing on the roof of the theatre for the opening scene of Romeo and Juliet.
He probably will be.
Yeah, knowing Jamie Lloyd.
I'm struggling to figure out when they say opening scene. I'm assuming they're basically just taking the straight Shakespeare text.
Yes.
Are they saying the opening scene is the like prologue bit? You know, two families, both in life and dignity, if ever and where they are seen, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Whatever they say that. The scene after, which I think makes more sense because that's him being like,
because that's the prologue.
Oh, Rosalind broke up with me. I'm gonna kill myself.
Because that's the prologue, isn't it? The two households both life and dignity. That's not the first scene. We're getting into Shakespeare.
But it is technically staged.
Yes.
Like you have actors on stage saying these lines. So that is a scene. And you'll have different adaptations take it as an actual scene and do something with it.
Different adaptations will have a different vision for it. Yeah, I'm excited for videos of Tom Holland stood on the roof.
Yeah.
Gary Barlow revealed that Finding Neverland will open on the West End in summer 2025. Gary Barlow
is like the third time he's revealed this.
Yeah.
So surely it's true this time.
The date has been 2025 for about 2 months now, so glad we're keeping on that. So, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dream Coat is a musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber, our dear, dear friend Andy.
The icon.
And a book by Tim Rice. Rice is great. Love him. This is actually their first musical. This is the first, well, technically it's the second musical they wrote together. However, it is the first.
It is the first.
The musical collaboration of icons, for better or worse, they're legends.
They're very good at what they do. I should get my copy of his book out, but I don't want to. I remember it.
Wait, nah, this is only the third Andy show we've done. First Andy and Rice.
Is it the third?
Yeah, because we had Bad Cinderella, Phantom, and now this.
Uh,
I forget
we
about
had
Bad
Phantom
Cinderella.
first for
Yeah,
reference.
Phantom
So
was obviously first.
yeah.
You can't talk about Android without talking about Phantom. Yeah, so Rice, Matt, Andy. We're just gonna call them Rice and Andy.
Oh,
What?
that stupid bit in his book. He calls everyone by their last name in his book, except for like one guy.
It's like everyone but Cameron and Sarah B.
Shall I find it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does call him just Cameron.
Yeah.
He calls Sarah Brightman Sarah and Sarah B.
Yeah.
But there's one specific bit. It's
This is, of course, Andrew Lloyd Webber's memoir, Unmasked. Okay.
I do, however, have all of the bits about Jesus
Uh,
Christ Superstar.
wrong show.
You're so right.
Wrong Bible
About
show.
Joseph. Joseph, he has so many fucking Bible
The
shows.
man's obsessed with religion.
He's great.
So weird. Rice met Andy back in the 1960s, an introduction from a literary agent, Desmond Elliott. Rice was working at EMI Records at the time and was trying to write pop songs, but wasn't having any luck. Whilst trying to sell an idea for a book to Elliot, he mentioned that he was also writing songs. And Elliot said, "You have to meet with this young composer, Andrew Lloyd Webber, immediately." Well, and Rice apparently thought he'll have to change his name if he wants to make it. They met and they banged out a few tunes on the piano in his parents' flat, and it was clear to Rice that he had talent. Andy, in the words of Rice, was obsessed with musical theatre and determined to be the next Richard Rodgers. Boy, do we know! And the next Lionel Bart, he had been writing musicals since he was about 9 years old. In contrast, Rice admits he knew nothing about theatre. He had hardly ever been to see a musical. His parents had all the scores and played them on the record player when he was a kid. So he knew the songbooks and how songs worked, but was really into rock and roll and wanted to be a pop star. The idea of Rice as a pop star is deeply hilarious to me.
It's great.
But I hadn't really got anywhere with that. So when Andy asked if he was interested in writing some words for a new show, I said he said he would give it a shot, and it worked out well. They didn't have much practical experience in musical theatre. They had no connections, no money, and it was a bit ludicrous, really, what they were trying to do. They would write their first collaboration when Andy was 17.
Yeah.
Because I'm always like, how the fuck has this man been writing shit since the 60s and is still going? And that's like, oh no, he just started really fucking young.
It's kind of crazy when you read his book. Like he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was, but he talks about like writing music while he was in school
Yeah.
and like writing for his like high school and sixth form and uni.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I like composed this entire show for us to do at Christmas. And I
Yeah.
was like, dude, your exams.
Yeah. Well, he didn't care. He had musicals to write. He was just so
Amen.
obsessed about being the next Richard Rodgers.
Yeah, yeah. In this book, he does constantly refer to himself as he like specifically says on page 68, I was God's next gift to the West End. He has another one. He has some great lines in this book.
We love
When
Andrew
he
Lloyd Webber's memoir.
okay, when he talks about meeting Tim Rice,
Rice.
he says, I really liked him.
Mm.
Says like a weird sentence. And then he met my school friends who liked him too, particularly the gay ones. He's a crazy man.
Like it wasn't like these are his diaries that he's writing in like at the time. The book was released in like the 2010s, I believe.
It was released in 2018, I'm pretty sure.
Quite recent.
Yeah. Oh, can I tell you what? I don't know if I've read this to you, but on page 31, he has a great line.
What does he say?
Any cockiness I acquired was short-lived. Buoyed by my belief that I was God's gift to melody, I wrote a fan letter to none other than Richard Rodgers.
He has never let us hear the end of the fact that he loves Richard Rodgers.
Rodgers actually received it and, to my amazement, invited me to the London opening of The Sound of Music.
Did he actually, Andy, or are you telling a bit of a lie?
So, on May 19th, 1961, I found myself at my first premiere. On my own, in a back row of the upper circle, I was overwhelmed by the melodies. However, arrogant little sod that I was, I wrote on my programme, not as good as You'll Never Walk Alone, beside Climb Every Mountain in the song list.
Andy!
He's crazy. I love him.
Stay wild. Please come back, Andy. I miss you.
I miss him so much.
I miss his insight. He's not
He's
dead.
not dead.
He's just
He's just
being
not writing
boring.
musicals.
He doesn't even need to be writing musicals to cause chaos. He just has to be doing something insane. Yeah, so they wrote something together when they were really young. And they wrote their first musical, The Likes of Us, which wasn't produced for 50 years. In 1967, the songwriting duo were approached by a family friend of Andy. The head of the music at a local school in Hammersmith asked the pair to present something that could be performed at an end-of-term concert, preferably with a religious theme. He had taught Andy's brother, who's a cellist, and knew that they were writing, so suggested that while they were wanting to take Broadway by storm, this is a quote from Rice, we might consider writing something for his kids to perform. Well, that was definitely a bit of a come down in one sense. We were aiming for the West End, and there was no money involved, but we could still hear people sing our work, and it was something we'd never had before, so we decided to do it.
On
So,
May 5th, if an
oh
old
yeah,
diary doesn't lie, I met with Alan for a drink. He explained that he'd wanted something for the whole school to sing, but there must be a special role for the choir and school orchestra. There could be soloists too, but he reiterated that it was vital that there was something for everyone to perform, even the tone deaf. Which, if you have ever, and
listened or seen.
if you've done a production of Joseph, as most of us have, I have, yeah, you can kind of tell that's what it's going for.
The second
Like
you
it's
told
a
me,
school musical.
the second you were like, it was made to be a school musical, I was like, oh, that's why there are only 3 notes in the whole
Yeah.
musical.
Like you can tell like Joseph is a solo part.
Yeah. The
You can
narrator.
tell like the brothers are a choir part.
Yes.
The narrator's a solo part, like the pharaoh's a solo part. And then everyone else is just we needed a group of kids to sing.
Rice's approach to writing lyrics was driven by his love of popular music. He loved rhyming catchy tunes and comic songs like Mud, Glorious Mud by Michael Flanders. But also the pop music, it was also the pop music of the day. Andy's music has always mirrored what's going on in pop as far back as the 60s. So to us, it might sound like period, but it's actually pop. So out of this, the Pharaoh became an Elvis pastiche. They had country, western song, a French song, just kind of grew from there. Andy would write a melody and then Rice would put words to them. In 1968, the kids at Total Court School performed the first version of Joseph. It was a 15-minute pop cantata, I think. I think I've heard it said before, and I think it's cantata, whose success determined the pair to expand it to a 35-minute score. And then they like created a demo tape of these children just performing it, and it just became a hit on the school circuit. Because that's the thing, schools like to do musicals. And so it was a big hit on the school circuit, and in 1969 it was recorded as a concept album in England. The album didn't sell very well, but it got them attention and a good management, and as a result they were able to pursue the musical careers full time. At this time, they created a second musical based on the New Testament.
Jesus Christ, superstar.
Unable to secure funding, they released the score as a concept album too, and the success of the record led to a full-scale production on Broadway in 1971. It is crazy
I
that
find that really interesting that they kind of came up with the idea of releasing a recording first.
Yeah, like they are I think because when we were talking about Hadestown, we were like, it started out as a concept album, but the original show to do this was actually Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah.
Because also
it's like sorry to keep bringing up this, but he talks a lot in it about like the design of the concept album, like how they were going to package it and everything to make it successful so they can secure funding.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just very interesting to me.
Yeah, I think because like I think also I read a lot for the Hadestown episode because I just was so fascinated by it. And one thing everyone kept saying is, oh my God, like it's so rare that a show starts out as a concept album and then finds its way stage. And I was just thinking the entire time, like, I think starting your show as a concept album is one of the most musical theatre things you can do.
Yeah.
This is actually part of a larger musical theatre tradition. Self-proclaimed god to musical theatre.
He said it, I need to reiterate, he does say that as a joke.
Okay, but
Like
really,
he's joking about it, but he does say it. Do you want to know something crazy? I know we're doing Joseph, but do you want to hear something crazy about Jesus Christ Superstar?
always.
When I returned to London, the doubt set in. Waiting at my flat was a telegram. It had been sent to my parents' address, and they hadn't realised it was important. It read, I am the producer of West Side Story, Fiddler on the Roof, and Cabaret, and wish to acquire the rights to produce and direct Jesus Christ Superstar. Please contact soonest. Harold Prince. I had literally buried my head in my hands. The Stigma deal was done. Besides, when I asked David Land if it was too late to add Broadway's leading producer and director to the mix, he had absolutely no clue who he was. I can't help wondering how different my career would have turned out if that telegram had found me sooner, and how Prince had directed the first Jesus Christ Superstar Broadway production.
Jesus Christ. Because the thing with Jesus Christ Superstar is it's not really done very often because it's so vocally weird.
It's also works best as a concert style show. So you know how like
Yeah,
Six is done?
yeah.
Like it works best when it's not like a ton of set and a ton of like costuming and movement.
Like you can't
It
mega
works best as a
musicalify
concert.
Jesus Christ
Yeah.
Superstar.
And it works pretty well like that.
I
And I think
just,
it's pretty successful now, but more
yeah,
so because it's Andrew Lloyd Webber's Jesus Christ Superstar.
yeah. I do find it incredibly funny that these fuckers wrote two musicals about the Bible.
He says the Bible is a very good place to find stories for musical theatre. Do
Sure, Andy.
you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Salvation came in the form of the Wonder Book of Bible stories. Books like these are excellent source material for musicals. They save a lot of reading time and effort. The plots are nicely condensed, the print is big, and there are lots of pictures to bring important moments to life.
Sorry, I'm losing it. The print is big and there's pictures.
I really like how the pharaoh being Elvis is allegedly Andy's idea.
I think it was probably Rice's.
No, he says, I wondered what would happen if we built and built the pharaoh's entrance, and he turned out to be Elvis. That's what he says.
Because I believe everything Andrew Lloyd Webber says.
Why would he lie in his book?
So the success of Joseph kind of came off of the back of the success of Jesus Christ Superstar. The following year in Edinburgh, it would be a double bill, because again, it was only 35 minutes at this point, with it titled Bible 1, A Look at the Book of Genesis, Part 1, a medieval mystery play about the story of Jacob, Joseph's father, while Part 2 was Joseph, the coincidence of timing and good luck. It took Andy and Rice by surprise. Consumed by their first Broadway hit, they had kind of forgotten about it and didn't even go to the opening. When the show got rave reviews, they thought, oh, this is our show, we better go see it. The production moved from the Edinburgh Fringe Festival to the Young Vic Theatre in London, where it was recorded for the RSO label and broadcasted on the Granda television throughout the UK. The Old Vic production of Joseph transferred to the West End. I think, yeah, it looked very different though, the original West End production.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it ran for 243 performances. The medieval play that predicated Joseph was dropped from the production and replaced with Jacob's Journey, which featured lyrics by Rice and music by Lloyd Webber, which the book was developed into a television comedy. Ultimately, Jacob's Journey was phased out of Joseph in its almost present form, and then it played at like the Leicester Haymarket Theatre, which is where I think they took it back and like workshopped it and turned it into the version of Joseph we know today. Like this thing was never meant to be done properly, though.
No, it was always like a kind of pretty, like again, like a kid's musical.
Yeah, and I think you can still see that today by the fact that there are always children in every even professional production of it. In 1976, Joseph would make its premiere in New York at the Brooklyn Academy of Music for opening on Broadway at the Intermedia Theatre in 1982. Oh, off Broadway and in 1982, and then transferring to Broadway at the Royal Theatre, which is now the Jacobs, in like January of 1982. So that should be 1981, I believe. The thing with the thing with Joseph is it is massively succeeded, and the reason why there are so many like professional productions today is because it has just kind of it's a decent musical. The music's good and easy to listen to. And it was written by Andrew Lloyd Webber, who is now one of the most prolific and well-known musical theatre composers of all time.
Yeah.
So the New York Times kind of hit on this in their review. Last night, Joseph received its professional Manhattan premiere at the Intermedia Theatre. In a production directed and choreographed by Tony Tanner, in contrast to the raucous version in Brooklyn in 1976, it provided a buoyant musicalization of the often told Old Testament tale. In diversity and tunefulness of the songs, it is a harbinger of Lloyd Webber's to come, from Jesus Christ Superstar to Evita to the current hit musical Cats. So that's the thing. By the time Joseph got to Broadway, or like even in America, there had already been Evita, Jesus Christ Superstar, and like Cats was about. The young, classically trained, popular composer is one of the most innovative artists in contemporary musical theatre. God, I love the 80s. Joseph has become a perennial in schools, and for good reason, with its innocent and gently satiric attitude towards sacred material. It is decidedly a musical for young people. The sort of show that can serve as an introduction to theatre, but also to Bible study. All singing, no talking. It is both a pop opera and a school theatre pageant. So it is synopsis time.
Oh my God. Synopsis. Wow. Did he write this himself? This telling of the biblical story of Joseph and his brothers is filled with great music, costumes, laughter, joy, and heart. Utilizing many different styles of music from pop rock to country to musical comedy, this sparkling show follows young Joseph as he faces adversity and triumphs through his dreams and his strong, unwavering faith.
That's Joseph. Joseph is weird. Joseph's so weird. I'm sorry.
It's great.
My thoughts on Joseph, it is weird. I've seen a school production of it and it was weird.
Yeah, I've done a like production of it. And I'm even hesitant to say like amateur production because that's the kind of way it was meant to be done.
Yeah, like it's in its intended form when it's being done by a bunch of children.
Yeah, like our costumes, because I was part of the ensemble for this one.
Mm.
We had like all different, like basically a t-shirt and then a matching like tutu in all the colors of his coat.
Yeah.
And we just like run around him and be like, ah, yeah, it was red and yellow and green and brown and purple and black and ochre and pink
Yeah, some of the
and
colors get
ruby
really
and ochre.
Yeah.
They're crazy.
Yeah, some of the colors
It
get
was
really
a
like
skill to know it.
descriptive. I think it was once a quiz question, what are all the colors on Joseph's coat?
There was also, I remember this from his book as well. There was like a problem with the name of it. Technicolor is a company.
Yes.
And also the original productions had it billed as Joseph and the Amazing, and then in brackets, Technicolor with a U, Dream
Oh.
Coat.
Okay, so I've got a list up of all of the colors. Red, yellow, green, scarlet, black, ochre, peach, ruby, violet, ochre, olive, violet, fawn, lilac, gold, chocolate, mauve, cream, crimson, silver, rose.
Azure, lemon, russet,
Yes,
grey,
that's
purple, white, pink, and orange, and red, and yellow, and green, and brown, and scarlet, and black, and ochre, and peach, and ruby, and olive, and violet, and fawn, and lilac, and gold, and chocolate, and mauve. And they end it with and
and
blue.
blue. So yeah, a lot of fucking colors.
It's I think like the second you know that it's a musical for kids,
Yeah.
that song makes so much more sense because it's like you're sitting in like your school's theatre, not theatre, like hall.
Cool.
Your like 5-year-old kid is up on stage and he sings all of those colours and then ends with and blue. And
And
you're like, wow,
blue.
my 5-year-old, he's so smart. He remembered all of those colours.
He's learning the colors as well.
It's like it's genuinely impressive.
Yeah.
To know all of them.
Yeah.
I did it when I was like 8. So yeah, shocking to know I knew all the colours when I was 8.
It's probably in the same way that when I was like 7 I could spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious because of the song.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was like, what the fuck is going on though? Because again, I'm not that familiar with the Bible story.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, what?
It's like, to be fair, it is a pretty basic story.
It is. I just wasn't prepared for like how weird it was.
But it's not in that like normal Andy way of he's made it weird.
No. Andrew Lloyd Webber has not made this any weirder for once in his life.
Yeah. I think it's just like genuinely a pretty good show.
Like, I feel like we have this conversation quite a lot of like kids need shows to perform.
And there's
And
definitely something to be said of making all of them Bible shows. That is kind of weird.
but it's a product of its time,
Um,
I guess.
yeah, like 60s London. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's as well. I guess my thing with it is
Mm.
you wouldn't take a child to go and see Joseph.
It was one of the first shows one of my friends saw.
But like generally, at least nowadays, like I guess again, maybe it might be a time thing. If I had like an 8-year-old kid and it
Mm.
was like, hey, auditions for Joseph, I'd be like, get him in there. He will be doing this. He will be playing what's the Benjamin brother who gets framed.
Oh yes.
I was remembering the
So
production of Joseph we
the
saw.
yeah, the brothers'
We'll get into
names.
that.
Oh God. Oh. So only know the one my friend was. He was Ithaca, and he will never let us hear the end of it.
They had
Jos
crazy names.
Joseph's 11 brothers: Reuben, Simon, Levi, Judah, Dan. Oh, and then there's the wives. Oh my God, this musical was insane.
Let's not do the wives. Reuben was the eldest of the children of Israel, with basically Simon, but spelled with Simon and Levi the next in line.
Mm.
Naphtali and
Tally's the one I was struggling to say.
Naphtali and Issachar, with Asher and Dan.
Yeah,
Zebulun and Gad took the total to 9.
yeah.
Benjamin and Judah, which leaves only one. Joseph, Jacob's favorite son. Jacob
Jacob
and
and
sons.
Sons.
Jacob and sons.
It's all like I'm right in saying I feel like it's all in no less than a 3 note
Yeah.
range, right? Do 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 do.
Again, I think you can tell like the hardest songs are the solo ones.
Yeah, and I think the Joseph and especially the roles of like the narrator and Joseph is yeah, you can add very vocally impressive stuff, but standard, it's kind of easy to do.
Yeah. I think as well, it works pretty well in the musical
Mm,
because they just become motifs.
yes.
So like talking about the same 3 notes,
Yeah.
not like I think like Go 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 Joseph.
Yeah.
It's not the exact same tune, but it sounds so similar to Jacob and Sons.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the ensemble bits that you just kind of associate it with the ensemble. Go
Yeah.
go Joseph, you know what they say. Hang on now, Joseph, you'll make it someday. La la la, Joseph, you're still in
It
your
is
prime.
it is very much assembly
Like
singing.
it is definitely technically a different tune,
Yeah.
but it sounds exactly the same.
Yeah.
I feel like it's really hard to do like our thoughts on this because it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's a kids show. I've done it. I've seen it. We saw a very racist production of
Oh,
it.
absolutely. And we were told beforehand.
Incredibly.
We were told
We
beforehand.
were warned.
My friend who was in
It
it was like, this is incredibly racist and bad.
was it those Canaan days?
Those Cayman days, they had dreadlocks.
The dreadlock. Yeah.
And he was making eye contact with us the entire time, being like, help
We
me.
nearly walked out.
What was it, the donkey or the horse on stage?
Well, they had like a donkey.
The donkey was great.
Yeah, they had this weird bit, like a lot of dreadlocks.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
And a lot of white people in dreadlocks as well.
like they sold Joseph because Joseph gets sold. Like
Yes.
canonically, in the biblical canon,
In
Joseph
the
gets sold as
biblical
a slave.
canon.
In the biblical canon,
Yeah.
which is where the word comes from,
Is it?
Joseph gets sold. Yeah, it is from the biblical canon, is where you get canon from.
I didn't know that.
Joseph gets sold as a slave, and then
Mm,
they steal his beautiful coat
yeah.
and they dip it in blood and they bring it back to their father. Like, it's so sad. Joseph died,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and then Joseph is actually just a slave,
Mm.
and then he has prophecies. This is a crazy story. He sees prophecies, warns people of them, which gets back to the Pharaoh, who is Elvis.
Yeah.
We're gonna brush past that. You just have to accept it.
Like
The Pharaoh is Elvis.
there's a lot of other stuff going on. So you're just like, yeah, whatever. The Pharaoh is Elvis. We've seen slaves.
Yeah,
People are sex slaves.
yeah. I'm trying to think.
Because that was also one
Oh,
thing that my friend told me was changed, and I was like, he was like, yeah, we're all meant to be sex slaves, but it's been changed. But I
yeah,
watched it with the
it's.
context of they're meant to be sex slaves.
I'm trying to remember how this goes. Oh yeah, so initially he like has dreams and it annoys his brothers so much.
Yeah.
To be fair, the dreams are pretty bad. He's literally just like, I see 11 sheaths of corn, and they all turned and bowed to my sheath of corn. And my mine was golden and tall, and yours were green and second rate and really rather small, which might be a dick
Yeah.
joke looking at it now, but
Yeah.
we'll move on. And then they have another one, and this he says, I dreamed I saw 11 stars, the moon, the sun, the moon, and the sky, bowing down before my star. It made me wonder why. Could it be that I was born for higher thing than you? Post in someone's government, a ministry or two. Like he's a dick about it. The dreams of our dear brother are the decade's biggest yawn. His talk of stars and golden sheaves is just a load of corn. Not only is he tactless, but he's also rather dim. For there's 11 of us, and there's only one of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they like kill him. Well, they don't. They pretend to. And then I'm trying to remember this because, okay, he gets taken to Egypt
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and sold to a captain named Potiphar,
Uh-huh. Yes.
which the song Potiphar has one of the best lines that Tim Rice has ever written.
Do you know who I think's played Potiphar?
Who?
Andy Carl.
No.
Or he played like the Elvis Pharaoh. He's been in it.
Well, yeah, no shit, but I'm looking it up now. He was born in 1974. He did play Potiphar.
Sent an
He was
email.
also in The Who's Tommy.
We discovered the plot of the Who's Tommy this week, guys.
He also played the Rum Tum Tugger in Cats.
Anyone has a bootleg of Andy Carl playing the Rum Tum
Um,
Tugger? Send it to us.
he played Danny Zuko in Grease at the paper mill.
That makes sense. Yeah.
The best line that Tim Rice has ever written is Potiphar had very few cares. He was one of
Yeah.
Egypt's millionaires, having
Yeah.
made a fortune buying shares in pyramids. Oh, yeah, this was really weird. So he gets bought by Potiphar. Joseph gets bought by Potiphar, and then made him leader of the household. And then his wife sexually assaults him.
Yeah.
And Potiphar is like, oh my God, how could you sleep with my wife? You're
Yeah.
going to jail.
And that's how he ends up in
He
jail.
goes
And then
to
it's like
jail.
go go Joseph. He gets out of jail.
No, then it's poor Joseph,
Yeah.
and then it's close every door on me.
Oh, good song.
Great song. Apparently, it's go Joseph,
Well, like before it.
but I am certain it is like a song
Hold on, let me
because
listen.
it's sung through. Joseph, yeah, it is. It's the
It
beginning of
is.
Go Joseph. I really love it. He's up for the butler. Yeah, you're gonna be free. No worries, man. And then the baker, you are going to die.
Even like, even though there are like lead roles in Joseph, it is such an ensemble piece
Yeah,
to the point where it's like you can tell that they had to give everyone a song.
yeah.
And I'm surprised that the professional version that's done doesn't make any cuts, to my knowledge.
I don't think so.
Which I guess is a way of almost honoring the history and the legacy of the show.
I don't think there's much else to
There's
say
so
about
much,
it.
like, there's not a lot to say about it other than you can tell it's made for a school. It's kind of weird. The production we saw was quite racist.
Yeah, I think like we did specifically choose this because we were like, we want something kind of easy.
Yeah, there was a point this week, guys, where it didn't look like there was going to be an episode. So
Yeah,
enjoy
it's
what
been
you
rough.
have. If you knew the shitstorm of a week I've had, whether anything's got done and I'm not crying right now is a big achievement. But no, Andy's antics always cheer me up. Joseph is weird, and the fact that Andrew Lloyd Webber has written two shows about the Bible is deeply hilarious to me because he likes an edition of the Bible that he found because it has pictures.
Well, no, like not to defend him again, but I get where he's coming from with
No,
that.
I understand what he's saying, I do find the fact that he included it's got a nice text. This specific edition's got nice big text and pictures.
Yeah, but he's joking. Like he's making a joke about it. That it's
Yeah.
stupid that that's his source material.
Yeah. At the Tony Awards, it would be nominated for Best Musical, Best Book, Best Original Score, Best Performance by a Featured Actor in a Musical, Best Performance by a Featured Actor in a Musical, Best Direction, and Best Choreography. It would not win any.
Which is shocking.
Well, do you want to know what else was that year?
What?
Dreamgirls.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Dreamgirls and a musical called Nine, which won Best Musical over Joseph. And I was like, I think I know one song from Nine, but it's kind of crazy that Nine beat over Dreamgirls.
Yeah.
It's funny looking at the list of like what's won Best Musical and what was nominated. For some years you'll have like 10, you have like 4 musicals that are like very important to the musical theatre canon. And then some years you'll have somewhere it's like, what the fuck is that? As we've said, it has been revived many times in London and on the West End. So in the 90s, it had its like massive West End revival, with it being the production of Joseph most of us are familiar with to some extent. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the poster.
Yes.
That's where it comes from, the 90s production instead of the original 80s
Yeah.
production. It would star Lindsay Holtley and Jason Donovan. It would play there for 18 months. During that time, they would release Any Dream Will Do as a single, and it would hit #1 on the charts.
Because it's a banging tune.
I I think it's because also Jason Donovan has a lot of support behind him by himself.
Yeah.
Like he's a solo artist in his own right. And also Andrew Lloyd Webber used to be really good at getting musical theatre music to chart, as we discovered by the single versions of Phantom.
Which go hard.
Which you wish
They're
were still
such
played.
good songs.
You're gonna start campaigning for them to be included in a new production.
All that's different is the lyrics, and the like proper lyrics, like the ones on the released versions, are better.
Yeah,
It's just
you like having the alternative.
no, that it's they're just such funny songs.
Yeah.
Like they're so different that it's hilarious.
Philip Schofield would also play Joseph at one point, taking over for Jason Donovan during the run. All of the press I was reading was obviously pre all the allegations against him, so it made it very, it was like, oh, and Philip Schofield also played him. Remember when that happened, guys? At this time, it would actually be nominated for Olivier Awards. The reason why it wasn't originally was because the Olivier Awards didn't exist yet,
Yeah.
because they technically started in the 80s, like as we know them today. So it would be nominated for 6 Olivier Awards, being Best Revival, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Choreographer, and Best Set. It would only win Best Set. Okay, so the 2000s. It is time to talk about a very big part of musical theatre culture in the 2000s in the UK. Andrew Lloyd Webber and reality TV shows.
Oh my God.
In 2007, Andrew Lloyd Webber launched a TV show called Any Dream Will Do, which is where, like, it'd be like almost like the X Factor, but you'd pick who would win, who would play the role on the West End. So they did How Did You Solve a Problem Like Maria for The Sound of Music, Any Dream Will Do for Joseph, I'd Do Anything, Oliver, to find Nancy, and then Somewhere Over the Rainbow for The Wizard of Oz. They would do one for Grease, being Grease is the word, and then Superstar on ITV for Jesus Christ Superstar. It was during the heyday of like competition reality TV shows. So like X Factor and Britain's Got Talent and Big Brother were all at like their peak at the time, so it kind of really fit in really well. Every Saturday, hopefuls would warble their way through show tunes and pop songs, dreaming of winning over the judges and the public. At the head of the program was Andrew Lloyd Webber himself, who was referred to as the Lord, and offered critiques from a golden throne, like a gothic Simon Cowell. Look up clips, because it is Andrew Lloyd, like, especially the Somewhere Over the Rainbow one.
It's crazy.
Because they all, like, you'd have to give back your shoes to him, and he would be sat on this throne, and they'd be crying their eyes out singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow, dressed in like a different coloured Dorothy dress. The ominous opening chords of Phantom of the Opera would blare every time he entered.
Which is a great choice.
I mean, if you've written that and that can have that and be your entrance music, then why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Subtle these programs were not. They also got the general in public invested in theatre, with even Simon Cowell saying in 2008, what the BBC does is very good for the West End. It makes because it reminds millions of people what the West End is about. They're they're going to sell a lot of tickets off of the back of that. So the public casted Lee Mead as Joseph. They also, what was really interesting, a lot of West End stars and just general mainstream stars have come from this show. So the biggest success would be Jessie Buckley, who was in the Cabaret Revival and has a BAFTA nomination, and Samantha Barks, who was appearing in the Les Mis movies. Oh my God, what's her name? Bronte Barbe. We saw her as Catherine in Newsies.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
She came from this one, from Dorothy, I believe. Rachel Tucker and Sophie Evans all got their big breaks or on this show, just to name a few. And often, if you were like Andrew Lloyd Webber would pay for your training in a lot of these cases, host the show. And so for Joseph, Andrew Lloyd Webber originally said he wanted a cross between Jackson and Justin Timberlake, which is hilarious when you look at a photo of it. It was with one of the runner-ups from the Joseph series, Keith Jack, saying it was a way into the industry that didn't require racking up debt at drama school. It was the best crash course you'll ever learn. And so again, as I said, one big part of these series was the end was like how when you'd be eliminated, you'd have to give an item of your clothing to Andrew Lloyd Webber whilst blaring out a tune. For Oliver, you'd have to give over your locket while singing As Long as He Needs Me. But for Joseph, it was the challenges of belting out Close Every Door whilst crying. It was also a chance to really sing and show Andrew what he was missing. So these are hilarious to look back on and very, very entertaining and got a lot of people into theatre. Do you want me
They've
to?
announced another cast for Mincemeat.
People are complaining about the mincemeat.
Oh, they're moving. Okay,
They're going
Sean
to
Carey.
America.
They're talking about that. Sean Carey, who's the understudy for Chumley.
Yeah.
Sean Carey as Charles Chumley and others. Pleased to reveal he and our new recruits will be stationed from the 13th of May. So next week. So when this is out, there'll be a new cast.
Fucking hell.
That's horrific. Congrats. That might be the worst anyone's ever done it. And Sophia Ann Caruso announced she was leaving after
Oh,
she'd left.
she left. This is up there
And
with
this might be
Sophia.
the worst cast
Okay,
like announcement ever.
people are so pissed at their producing team.
I don't blame them, man. I don't even go here,
Do
but
you,
this is
do you, do you want me to
crazy.
read you the email that they all got sent on the mailing
I
list?
saw it,
For those of you at home, sent an email today suggesting that significant investors and producers on the other side of the pond were concerned that the show is too British.
which I think is true, but
Chatting a slightly ludicrous MI5 plot to use, Fortune Theatre, whatever. Okay, do you want to know how much it would cost to produce in America?
it would be like 13 mil,
Yeah, it's 13 mil and it's 2 million here.
which is crazy. And we've seen the show.
The fact
13
that
mil is crazy for what goes on that stage.
it's all on the
2 mil
plane.
is crazy.
It's all on the plane that they use for 2 minutes.
It's all on the plane that doesn't turn up until the end.
Oh
Okay,
God.
so wait. Sorry, they've announced 5 cast changes.
Yeah.
We know for certain that Chumley, Montague, and Bevan is changing. So Jean and Hester might be staying the same.
The rest of them are going to America.
Well, clearly they're not because they can't get an investment.
I think that was the plan, and now they've not got the investment in, so they're shitting themselves. That's my working theory, is that they were all meant to go to the ones who wrote it and are split it were meant to go to America, but they've lost some kind of funding.
Well, listen, if there's anyone listening to this podcast
Yeah.
who could give us an insight,
We won't share.
feel free to reach out.
You know where to find us.
You know, we won't say anything. We just want to know.
I just, oh, Because apparently I heard someone say on a comment on a Sweaty Oracle video when he was talking about West End transfers
Mm.
that there was someone at the TKTS booth polling interest for Operation Mincemeat.
I think it's something I saw in the email. I'm not
Mm.
subscribed to it, by the way.
No,
It
this
was
is
in the What's on
what's on
Stage
stage
copy of the email.
article.
Yeah. But they were like, oh, when we opened, we had 2% American audience, and now we have 11% American audience.
Mm.
I was like, do you not think that's worrying?
That's less than us. We
Yeah.
have like percentage wise.
But like, first of all, to have a show in the UK about UK history that is built on UK humour, specifically like British English humour and like
Like your
English
Eton
history.
jokes will not fly there.
Yeah, to have all of that. And somehow you're still having 11% of your audience come from abroad. I didn't like check the stats on that, whether it's 11% per, uh, per performance, which would be insane. So I'm guessing it's not.
No.
Or like 11% on like a weekly average,
Yeah.
which is also still crazy.
Yeah. Like the thing with Operation Mincemeat is that it also has the Colin Firth movie behind it. And I don't know whether or not that movie itself is big in America.
I guess it must not be. It's a very British show. And I think like they were saying in that email about like Six, Billy Elliot, all of that stuff.
And Les Mis. Les Mis.
Yeah. Les Mis, first of all, is not about being British.
It's also written by two French dudes.
Yeah,
About
it's
France.
a French political musical
Yeah.
in a weird way. Six,
Six had so much momentum behind it.
I think Six, even though being British history, like they're like inspo pop stars,
Yes.
some of them were American, some of them are
Yeah.
British. And they
Yeah.
were all like global pop stars.
Yeah.
Pop, not the right word, but like stars.
I know exactly what you mean.
I think Billy Elliot has like a message to
Elton
it that
John.
most people get. Yeah. It's just again, I'm probably biased about this, so take it with a grain of salt.
Okay, I'm saying this
But there's
actually as someone who loved Six and said it's too British to work in America and was proven wrong.
but I just think there's nothing to me that stands out in Mincemeat as being transferable.
Also, comedies are having a hard time on Broadway.
Yeah. I think even like the message of the show, because I really loved the ending of the show. Like I was genuinely like near tears. As I can vouch for this. It's a really good ending. It's a really
Ceylon
emotional ending.
Boys.
Salem, all of that stuff. And
The
that if you
Ceylon
take that
Boys
as the
tune
kind of
is
message
like
of the show,
my favorite song from Mincemeat. I think it's a genuinely good song.
yeah. But you take those moments, and if you take that as the emotional core of the show,
Mm.
it's still very British in this idea of like owning up to our like
History?
historical mistakes
Yeah.
and like acknowledging that a lot of it comes from the fault of our government and how I cannot think of a better way to put this, but like how posh our government is
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
divided they are from the rest of the country.
How
It's a
touched they
very
are
British
from
show,
a
and that
working
doesn't like
person.
make it bad. It's a very like I know I've said my piece about it and how much I don't like it.
Yeah.
Objectively, I think I'm coming round to understanding why people like it.
Yeah,
I don't get it entirely, but I understand like again that emotional core of the show. I understand that connection to it.
I'm a lot less confused than I was
When we walked out,
than
yeah.
I walked out. Yeah.
I guess the reason we're talking about it is it just seems like something's wrong.
There is something that's not gone according to plan. And like
Yeah.
and everything I'm seeing from this from the lack of confirmed information about the lack of press release about who's leaving and when and what date and the fact that it's happening on fucking Monday,
When the day this comes out.
the day this comes out. And then today, on the day when it's actually been confirmed that there is going to be a cast change for an article in What's on Stage, not coming out saying dates or something, saying Operation Mincemeat is looking to go to America with the email. If anyone would like to send us a copy of this email as well, please do. I want to see it. Should we try and finish, Joseph?
Let's get through this.
Then we can go back to our murder boards about what's going on
Yeah.
Mincemeat. I do feel incredibly vindicated right now.
Oh, no, son.
Operation Mincemeat interlude over. Um, it would the revival would open at the Adelphi Theatre in London on the 17th of July. It would star, as previously stated, Any Dream Will Do winner Lee Mead for 18 months, where they would have one of the runner-ups, I think the first runner-up, be the standby like they did for Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Gareth Gates would also take over the role for a period of time. This model was very successful because I mean Joseph was the second one and they would go on to do two more afterwards, one a year, and they would have a £10 million advance while still being able to cast a relatively unknown person, which is very interesting. So the reviews, the Guardian said somewhere inside the big fat show is the small delightful musical struggling to get out. Andrew Lloyd Webber's score is shows his undoubted gift for panache embracing, as does country and western and Caribbean calypso. Tim Rice's lyrics are also crisp, jaunty, and clever. I still laugh, even after all these years, at Joseph's advice to the dreaming pharaoh. All those things you saw in your pajamas are a long rage of forecast to your farmers. Stripped to its essentials, the show is an innocent exuberance of youth and shows how much Lloyd Webber's innate romanticism benefited from Rice's verbial cheek. In this version, everything is covered with a synthetic gloss of show business. Lee Mead, fresh-faced, chubby-thighed, in his white loincloth, is a perfectly decent Joseph, but you feel it didn't need a ludicrous rigmarole of a reality TV show to discover him when he'd already played the Pharaoh in the West End. My whole childhood's been a lie.
No.
So I'm Googling Lee Mead furiously. Give me a sec. He moved into musical theatre in 2004, playing both Levi and Pharaoh in the touring production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dream Coat. Following Joseph, performed on the UK tours of Tommy. He was in The Who's Tommy.
Oh my God, everyone's been in the Who's Tommy, apparently.
Miss Saigon, Ensemble and First Cover Chris before joining the West End production of Phantom of the Opera as
Oh
ensemble
my God.
player understudy and understudy for Raoul.
Oh my God.
Unknown my ass. Sorry, I've been lied to since I was a young child.
He was in on this. He'd already worked with Webber.
This is like his third Weber show.
Jesus. This whole thing's been a scam.
Okay, now this is the second worst thing to happen to me all week. He also misses the faint elements of self-satisfaction of the Joseph character. What you get in place of a narrative drive are production effects. A flock of Technicolor sheep that
I'm looking it
dispenses.
up.
Oh, it's like a fruit machine, like a gambling thing that dispenses
Relating
corns
to
on the
or
cob.
characteristics of a pharaoh or at the time of pharaohs. Give me how do you pronounce this? Pharaonic.
Pharaonic.
Sorry. I could only get it in American accent.
Yeah. Pharaonic.
Pharaonic.
Pharaonic fruit machine that dispenses corn on the cob. And even the children are largely used as decoration. The musical that once proceeded by its own buoyancy has turned into a piece of gaudy chocolate box consumerism.
Just how we like it.
Just how every Andy show should be. Joseph stayed under the radar for too long. Andrew forgot to make it into a mega musical. And then in the 2000s, he was like, I'm going to make it into a mega musical, guys. I know I'm 20 years too late, but this is my job. It has been revived since then. In 2019, there would be a 50th anniversary at production at the Palladium. Returning to the Palladium, however, my enemy, Lawrence Connor, directed it. I don't like Lawrence Connor. Sheridan Smith would star as the narrator, and they would cast another unknown as Joseph, being Jack Yarrow. This time he was an actual unknown, okay? Not unknown. I played the Pharaoh. No. Fresh out of drama school.
The way it should be.
London Theatre would say about it, the jaunty sense of fun permeates Lawrence Connor's constantly innovative new vision for the show. I feel like that might be the best thing anyone's ever said about a Lawrence Connor production, which is a mostly steamroller of pure joy and comic delights. It's never exactly subtle, and you miss the wit and ingenuity of the lyrics, and they are swallowed by the laughter and the occasional share of mugging of Sheldon Smith's buoyant scene narrator, which doubles up as Jacob's and Pilar's wife. But
That's fun.
there's a tendency to oversell some of these moments. There's a ever buoyant tunefulness of the score to compensate, and Smith delivers her songs with a punch and power that she directs them when she dares to act them with more reserve. Yeah, it came back post-pandemic in 2021 and basically just did the same production. I think it was because we weren't sure whether or not theatre would be back, and so it was just easier to shove something in. So yeah, that is Joseph.
Yeah. Great show.
Next week, we are starting our Pride Month shows 2 weeks early.
Yep.
All of that's to say, next week, we're doing Jamie, which
You can just cut that bit.
I will cut that bit because I'm not ready to reveal that one yet. Gotta have some hype around that one. Yeah, so next week it will be Jamie.
Yeah.
Oh, Jamie. When I say Jamie, I mean everyone's talking about Jamie. Again, it's one that I feel like I have to say properly once and then never again.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will speak to you all next week for Jamie. But next time we record, we would have seen Starkid.
Yeah. That's crazy. We're seeing Starkid.
Seeing Starkid.
When this comes out, we'll have seen Starkid yesterday.
Like the day before, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Anyway, speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.